All right, sweet. So good to go. Anyways, so I think yeah, there's a couple clean trades off 670. So this was like midday and afternoon, 670 bounce upwards, and then I think the rug pull on QQQ was also quite nice. Why is my skylit not? All right, give me a second here. Um, yeah, I was eating lunch. I don't know if this bounce here. I think 7,200 had a strong level. So that actually that bounced us earlier. So I think 7,200 and 718 was a decent level over here. That bounced like around 130. It looks like it may be flipping actually. May bounce price the other way. Although 718 has dropped a lot of volume. Yeah. So that's probably what I'd say there. Yeah, again, I don't know if anyone has questions, any setups. I can also chart any setups for the rest of the week. I think there's a bit more market weakness today, but some sectors stayed pretty strong. Like I think quantum stayed fairly strong. Let me see. Well, it's basically gone flat by now. I think there was a couple other like smaller tickers I was some guy had asked me. Yeah, Path stayed really strong. So a lot of times like overall index weakness, if you pivot towards a lot of these like very low these more low profile tickers, they can actually maintain a lot of strength. Even if overall market starts to dip pretty heavily. But yeah, I'll just leave it open for questions at this point. I think, yeah, probably these recaps on the indexes. It's like this play down here, low of day, and then this upper rejection downwards up here. I'll probably just make a recap video for those instead of covering them here. Spy Lover, you want to ask a question? Uh, are you in here? Oh yeah. Let me see how I can. Spy Lover, can you speak now? Never mind. Do you think we need to wait for something on upside for AV Go? What do you think of this level? Yeah, like, I can check AV Go. Do we need to wait for something on the upside? AVGO looks like it came down, hit 410. So actually, if we replay this, AVGO probably had a lot of volume at 410 earlier on. Oh, maybe not. After it bounced, it picked up nice volume down there. It's like at midday. Actually, so this bounce off 410 wasn't super clear. This was more of like a gatekeeper that we held really strong and then bounced upwards off of. But yeah, so KG, to answer your question, at this point, AVGO looks like it's approaching a ceiling, right? Like this is a level that previously held pretty strong last week. Let me switch over here. Yeah, so again, like probably wouldn't buy puts. Like this is sort of the low end of this ceiling, but yeah, Ibigo looks like it held 410 as a gatekeeper and then got a nice bounce there. And now we're approaching the big ceiling from like actually this whole zone up here. Looks like it's a bit of a ceiling. Like all this. Where's the colors? Oh, here we go. So as we looking at AVGO, I mean that's a level that yeah, we rejected off of it a little bit past or like at least slowed down once we approached it. Um, it sort of supported price as well on Friday. Let me check the VEX as well. Yeah, it looks like 417 is really going to be like your high of the week. There's really no volume past that. The VEX, it's interesting we have this 390 next week. So let me see. So yeah, either you play this, you want to play more short term off 415, 417, and then, or if you want, you can try to swing it into next week actually. Spy Lover, check your, oh, you can't hear me. I'm down. Check your, all right. APLD. I think APLD was seeing a bit of a move already, right? I think someone had been talking about APLD or flow or something on this. Looks like we're it's trying to flip this 35, right? So this is rejected twice strong. It even rejected this morning a little bit. We then finally came through, broke through it. So yeah, it looks like we have a pretty consistent, pretty strong floor there at 35. Yeah, this node. Oh, next week's OPEX. So that's probably what's throwing some of this volume down lower. But at least chart wise, you probably look for 38, honestly. But like the only trade here, I'd wait for a 35 retest, right? Now that we've broken like pretty clean above, we tested it 3, 4 times. You want to wait for this to come back down and then play that continuation upwards of 35. Um, yeah, conversely, if you were looking at this early morning to play puts off 35, then that would have been your big clue of the risk. And like this is why we always need to verify what's going on the chart, right? Because in the morning, this probably looked pretty clean, right? It was like, okay, like we have strong ceiling. Yeah, you see, right? Strong ceiling, we can go hit 35, reject back down, and target these OPEX nodes. So always verify the chart, right? Because as soon as you look at the chart, that whole thesis goes out the window. So yeah, double check the chart. If for some reason APLD sells off really strong into next week, you could probably look at 30. Yeah, like 30 would be a really strong level. Like we got strong bounce back here. But at least right now, 35 looks pretty like has pretty good volume. So that's probably what I'd be looking for there. Yep, yeah, no problem. Bob. All right, let me see. Let's see what else is going on. Server. Glitch was sending out some stuff about quantum. Right. Yeah, let's see what else. Yeah, I don't know what else to check. Like I don't I guess I'll go back and look at what happened in the morning on the indexes. I wasn't actually online for this, but we look at like I don't know, 10:15 maybe. So 10:15. Oh, this is a similar setup to what happened a few weeks ago. Okay, so I don't know who was trading morning, right? But then a couple things happening here. One, so 721 is sort of a solo ceiling. What I mean by that is that it doesn't really align with SPX and QQQ ceilings, right? So QQQ is still saying, okay, we can probably push another dollar or two. And then I guess a dollar before start hitting 677, which is like the start of that stack. And then SPX is saying, all right, we can still go either 10 points higher, 672 45, which is a gatekeeper, or 55, which would just be our king node tap. And this happened maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago where we got a very clean short off of a gatekeeper on SPX. And then so it's hard to justify trading that. Like the safest approach would be wait for this king node 7255. But the 7245 is more valid when we start looking across the board, right? So whenever you're looking at a gatekeeper and you're trying to establish should I take this gatekeeper or not, that's when you need to track the other two indexes as well as the chart, right? So when we're looking at 7245 and saying, okay, I wonder if this will hold, if this was in isolation, I probably wouldn't take that because there's a chance we just blow through, hit the king node, and then reject. But because we're then hitting this QQQ set of king node, well, like the top two strongest nodes, right, at 77 and 78, as well as SPY is already on the 721, 722, and 722 has basically no volume above, right? Actually, all of these, above these clusters, we have no volume above, right? So that would have been your clue of, okay, maybe we're not going to go tap 7255, because if I skip forward here, as we push a little higher, I guess at what point did it actually tap up here? 1042. Uh, right. So as we're finally tapping 7245, right? This is sort of like our max upside on SPY. QQQ actually developed a rug pull in that period, and so did SPX. So actually, this as we pushed higher, like this thesis got stronger, where it's like, okay, if we reject, we now have these rug pulls like in full effect, right? Where SPX has overshot all these nodes. QQQ is overshooting a slight bit, like this has 676, a little bit over, and it actually ended up overshooting steeper. If I skip forward a few more minutes. Yeah. So at this point, yeah, we fully overshot, right? Like the 676, SPY still holding these nodes, and then SPX we're tapping this gatekeeper, like so we're getting this full rug pull, right? So that would have been thesis there, and then chart perspective, we also have a lot of divergence, right? So what we have is SPY is not sweeping any of these highs from Friday, but QQQ has swept them all, right? So again, like if you're stuck looking at one or the other, you're going to miss out. So if you look at both, you'll see, oh, QQQ has swept all this liquidity up here. There's a chance we can just get a full reversal now, right? So yeah, that would have been the morning or late morning sell off. At least for catching this top here. As for like holding the whole way down, that's more just, you start trimming and leaving runners. But yeah, that was a very sharp move down. All right, Bob, AMD. But yeah, I'll make a recap on these three moves on high of day, low of day, and then this 2 p.m. high, I think was also a pretty good setup. All right, so AMD, possible retest at 360 again. Uh, Possibly like we just rejected 360, right? So that would have been the clear play. At this point, you could be looking for 340 to hold. So actually 340 has already bounced. So if we come double bottom, potentially you could take that trade upwards. Um, Now, Bob, when you're taking these, like I know 360 is there, like as our king node, that doesn't mean we target 360. Like we're still playing the reversal off 340. So, you get a bit of a move, trim partials, and then maybe leave runners for 360, right? Yeah, if you have a 350 call, that would be safe, right? Where you say, okay, we get a partial move, trim some, and then leave runners for 360. But it's try not to view it as a way of like, oh, do we have to go and retap this level, right? Always make sure you're looking at what levels we're going to reverse off of. All right, pins. I mean, what pins has earnings? Is that this afternoon or tomorrow morning? All right, pins has earnings after market. I'm not. Um, yeah, I mean, I usually don't say much about earnings. It's just a gamble. It looks like we bounced. Let me see here. Both these nodes are quite distant. So it looks like we have a bit more bias this week downside, but then next week OPEX up at 23. So kind of getting conflicting messaging there. I don't know. And this is earnings. I guess you can look into flow and stuff, but I'm not seeing anything too clear here. Yeah, Ron. I mean, Ron, in any case, I'm still of the mindset that I don't really encourage people to play earnings. Okay, Palantir is also earnings. Wonderful. Yeah, Palantir, we have a strong ceiling up here, 150. So like that trade, I don't know if it happened during market hours. Yeah, actually it did. So it spiked up, hit 150, and we got $5.5 rejection straight off of that, right? So these kind of sustained levels are really, really strong. Like these are really, really good setups when you're seeing these levels that are held over multiple weeks. I don't know if that was there at market open. Let's see. Yes, actually, that's been there since overnight. So this is something, even if you scanned yesterday, you could have already had 150 marked out on Palantir. Like that's the only level I would have had marked. So actually, this is a really clean short on Palantir. It's a pretty good setup. And now, if you're talking about earnings, again, I mean, earnings, a gamble's a gamble. Yeah. I mean, I guess for everyone, like I'm not going to cover earnings in much detail, right? Like I've seen these maps get it right. I've seen it get it completely wrong. Like earnings, if there's a time that these maps are not going to hold true, earnings is the highest percentage time, right? So it's not a waste of time. It's just not it's not the best use of time if I'm going to be covering three earnings plays when we could be looking at tickers that are much higher probability to play. Um, Also on earnings, there's other things that are more useful that I'm not too familiar with. Like looking at flow can help you a little bit with earnings as well. Um, but yeah, overall, that's my opinion of earnings. So it's not trying to be dismissive of people asking. Like, and I'll give you my actual thesis. Like my thesis on Palantir 150, like this was a clean trade that happened today, right? But tomorrow with earnings, we're probably gonna gap up past it or just blow lower. So then there's not much sense in me looking at this, right? If it's just we're gonna get a gap up or down, and then it's just completely reshuffled by tomorrow. So there's not much point there. All right. Uh, yeah, I'll go scan through other tickers and see if we can find something. All right, so Poet, I don't know what's up with this ticker. This got some news or something. 6.5 looks like a decent floor. Looks like we held it last Thursday as well. So this OPEX on Poet, I wouldn't trust it. Like that's probably just gonna be. Let me zoom back a bit. Last OPEX was around here. Actually, you can take a lotto there, but at this point, like it would just be okay if we can come down, tap 6.5 again, you can give that another go. But Poet, I think that one was getting a lot of Twitter traction, so a lot of times those will move pretty funky. Hymns, yeah, I can check hymns. All right, hymns. Wait, this must be a much higher time frame. Why do I have this 24 level drawn? Oh, okay. So we had like a strong support resistance way in the past, like 24.8. Looks like right now the low of week is at down at 24. I don't actually like that level too much. There's not much going on there. So I might say 25 it might bounce a little early off that 24. But yeah, I'd say the range on pins looks like 24 to 30. So this looks a bit cleaner, right? It's like if we're sort of middle of the range, strong ceiling, strong floor, like just wait for one side to hit. The only concern I'd have is if we go reach 30 and that 31 node has multiplied a lot stronger, what you have is a risk of like a reverse rug pull. So like if we come above, breach 30 above, and then reverse rug pull higher. But at least right now on hymns, yeah, it seems the floor and ceiling quite distant. You also have this 25.6 sort of like the swing low that you can try playing double bottom off of. But it looks pretty mixed bag going into earnings. Like we have volume, like next week, we have volume both ways, 35 and 22. But yeah, for right now, when is this earnings? Next Monday? Yeah, so for this week, if we can get 30 tap or 24 tap, 24, 25 tap, then that's probably what I'd be looking for. But at least right now, I mean, it's slight bias upwards, but we also just got delivered from that side, so there's a chance that this is just rolling lower. So I'd just wait for one side to tap there. VD. IonQ. Yeah, so IonQ, obviously, uh, Quantum as a whole has been bullish. So IonQ, Rigetti. What else do we have? QBTS. I don't know if we have QUBT. No. Do we have ARC? No, we don't have ARC either. But like all those tickers should be running right now. Actually, ARC looks pretty soft compared to the rest. QBUT. Is it QUBT? Yeah, like QUBT, Rigetti, all these are looking pretty strong. IonQ, sorry. So to get back to your question. So they all had kind of like this consolidation period that just broke out last Thursday. IonQ has earnings what, tomorrow? Wednesday night. It's a really wide range. IonQ is going from 50, actually we rejected near 50 today. Yeah, so we rejected this ceiling up here, which would have lined up with this double top roughly here. So we have from there all the way down to 40. So 40 would be the swing low right here. So yeah, at this point, looking for another test of either side of those. But yeah, Ion with earnings on Wednesday. I don't know if this will go tap 40 or 50 by Wednesday. So this might just end up the earnings might be the catalyst that ends up moving this. Let me check the other let me check the other quantum and see how those maps look. Give me a second. QBTS is a lot more clumped, a lot more cluttered. So it looks like it held this double positive node. So if it can hold like this kind of level-ish, QBTS might be able to hold. This 20.6, 21-ish, then it may be able to get more upside. But actually, now that I think about it, likely these other quantum tickers, as IonQ earnings comes out, they may just move based off sympathy. I'm not sure if they have that relation, but I would expect. And Rigetti, oh, I'm looking at the replay. Oh no, no, that's a bug. Ah, they haven't fixed that bug. I swear I messaged these people. Wait, did I message them? All right, I'll ping a reminder. But yeah, any ticker that starts at R or F, the shortcuts are messed up. All right, Rigetti has a super low volume map this week. Looks like 16 still holding as a floor. So I think a few people played 16 actually. We had this strong level in the past. So sort of like this breakthrough. It never retested, sadly. Like we just got just basically a bounce off 15.3 and then it just got a continuation. But at this point, you'd be looking, see if you get some retests. Actually, this Rigetti map is really unclear. IonQ is really the cleanest one, not all of these. But it's the only one with the earnings. So wonderful. But yeah, Brent, hopefully that helps a little bit. It's not too clear. Like on it to me, like this trade just played out honestly today. Um, this 45 level, I don't know why I have it drawn. Yeah, this 45 level is strong in the past. At this point, it's fairly respected. Actually, I'll leave it there for now. Looks like we're still catching support off of that. All right. Yeah, Brent, yeah, I'll totally forget earnings most times when I'm looking at this stuff. Who else? All right, Bakir, I don't know if you meant MVST or if you meant VST. VST is not on Heatseeker, but I'll just check the chart. Bruh, this has earnings this week too. Why is everyone asking for earnings, please? If this is earnings, I have nothing to say on this. If it's earnings and we don't have Heatseeker, I don't know. I mean, it's been consolidating this range past few weeks. So yeah, I don't really know what to say here. I mean, kind of just range bound here and here. But again, we go hit one of those sides on an earnings candle, it's likely to get more violated there. All right, I'll check CEG. All right, CEG just pumped. I'll fly 310, 315. So we got a bit of a ceiling or sorry, a floor roll up. Actually, this is quite clean. So you have this double top, came gapped above it, came retested like 316, 317, and now we got a strong, looks like we're having a decent bounce off of that. You already got $5 there. Uh, heat map's not supporting this too much. Well, like this 315 would have aligned with that floor roughly. And I'd say this OPEX node, I'd be surprised if we go drop to 300. think that might just be leftover, but yeah, for right now, just keep an eye on that 315, 316 level that just bounced price. If we start dropping again, you'd probably be looking, see if that holds a second time. Um, but yeah, this one may need had a strong push today, so it may need a bit of time to reshuffle higher. But it looks like it may start pushing towards like 330-ish. Let me see here. Yeah, 330 up here, like 332, we got a strong level. So that's probably what I'd be looking for. Even go retest this floor. Okay, MP. All right, so MP has a really nice level 65. Got strong volume this week, next week. We kind of have a split bias going into OPEX week. So due to this floor, if the 65 holds, I'd be more biased towards the upside, towards 80. But at the moment, that's pretty even volume both ways. But yeah, so probably just 65. See if we can come tap these ceilings here. Actually, this level goes all the way back to here. Yep. Yeah, so tap there on MP would be nice. Get more upside off that. I don't know. I have two lines at the same level. Uh, yeah, it's probably MP. It's pretty light on volume, but like you're basically lumping what you see next week with this week because this week is so weak. There's so little volume. Yeah, Brent, no problem. Ollie, Oracle. All right, Oracle had a strong push. Looks like we retested 175 today. Let's see what it looked like in the morning. Yeah, so 175 had good volume. And then by now you'd probably be waiting for this swing high up here slash 190 level. If it keeps surging, that's likely the next spot it'll encounter some resistance, assuming this volume sticks around, but looks quite strong there. For a continuation on Oracle, yeah, you'd probably just need a pullback maybe to like this level here, this 175-ish, where you have this bounce price in the past. Here, rejected it afterwards, rejected it again, and now it's sort of gapped up, bounced off of it again. So if we get a second tap of 175, you can probably play more upside there. Ali. Yeah. All right, Vink, can I explain SPX current heat map? Yeah. All right, so I mean SPX 7200 looks like it's a bit of a floor. Looks like we just held it actually. So we broke above like at 3. We held it like 320. So 72. I mean, this is a very small bounce, but we got what, like a $3 bounce. At the end of the day, obviously everything's a lot more compressed. You don't need as big of a move to still get some decent profits. So you have 7200 as floor. 718 on SPY is sort of at a flip point. It looks like it's trying to decide between ceiling or floor. Um, yeah, at this point, if you're counting SPX as floor, 718, if that forms as a floor, then this may push higher towards like this 7212 on SPX. QQQ has big ceilings up here though, right? So like this whole zone on QQQ is what rejected price past couple times. So let me see. Ah, shoot. All right, there we go. So yeah, it looks like you may get some resistance here from QQQ. SPX has a floor. Spy's just kind of at a flip point. So yeah, overall, like what's causing like where I expect it to not be too big of a move unless one side breaks is because 7200 is strong floor, 673, 674 is strong ceilings. Vink, can a king node act as a floor? Yes, a king node can act as a floor or a ceiling. And any strong positive or negative node can act as a floor or a ceiling. Just something, yeah, if y'all watch, I think I did a video on like positive versus negative nodes. That should explain that pretty well. Eric, Eric, firstly, I know I owe you a DM. So sorry about the delay on that one. But Eric, I just sent the link in if you check the chat, that should show you a bunch of the overlay indicators that I use. So actually they were made by someone in the server, this guy named Obex. So he coded those up a while ago now. So they're very useful, especially for futures traders, but even on options, I just SPX, SPY move so similar, there's no point charting them separately. So um yeah, I just had those levels overlaid. All right, Cheryl, can I check if Oracle's going down? I just check Oracle. Yeah, with Oracle, I was just saying 175 looks like next floor, and then 190 is the next ceiling. So if you want to play continuation upwards, wait for a pullback towards 175. Otherwise, 190 has like a strong double top on the chart that you can look to play. Corrupt. Any trades that I took? Yeah. So I didn't do much today, I'll be honest. The one that I took was I caught some chunk of this drop on the rug pull on QQQ. So it was like at 2 p.m. I caught that one late, I'll be honest. But so usually the way I trade is like if I'm a bit late to a move, I'll actually just take it on futures. So like futures is sort of how I get any kind of like chase impulse out, and avoid trading it on options. So I was late to this move, so I just did it on futures. But basically, thesis here was okay, where um, price is pushing up towards QQQ, you have this rug pull, right? So again, with the rug pulls, you're waiting for the overshoot of 673, see if we can get close to 674, especially in this case where SPY has ceilings higher above, right? So in this one, I want to be extra careful to wait a little bit longer. Then, so here we're tapping near 674. We had already sort of double topped as well on both SPY and QQQ. So even though we hadn't fully tapped the SPY ceiling, I was still willing to take it. I said, okay, you know what? I'll try an early entry, like small size, and then I can add a few contracts if we get to this SPY ceiling. And so that was it. Like it was a very small move. Like I didn't anticipate this being a very large move because of the 7200, which I actually ended up being wrong about that. Like I was expecting this move to drop basically until 7200, which aligns pretty well with like this double bottom here on SPY, right? So I took it on NQ and I was just targeting this low. I got a bit sketched out, so like I cut a little early. So it was more of a scalp on the way down. But that was roughly the thesis is okay, we have our ceiling 674, SPY as well, a bit of a ceiling. I just wasn't expecting big downside because 7200 could be a floor, right? What I missed, because a lot of times when I do these, like I'll just take profit stop loss and just like I won't even look at it. So what I missed that happened while the trade was developing or as it was dropping was that 7195 popped a lot of volume. So, we got a strong negative note there. SPY was also showing a lot of volume down here, and then QQQ sort of rolled all the way down to 671, right? So then those sort of volume shifts would have been the clue to like hold it a bit longer. I was eating lunch or something at that point. Corrupt G, but hopefully that makes sense overall what the thesis is there. I wouldn't call this an A setup at all. Like I think it was probably a B setup. NQ we had support resistance flip here. This is a level that bounced price three times. We finally broke under by the time we came and retested. So like I would say it's probably like a B setup. I don't want to call it an A setup because that 7200 level on SPX was limiting the downside, right? So to me, not an A setup at all. But yeah, that's roughly the thought process there. So again, it's if you see a situation like this where it's very small downside possible, at least at the time. So if I scroll back to like 2 p.m., that's what it looked like at the time. Yeah, like here, 205. Right. So then either scalp it or just skip the trade, right? That's what I always tell people. Because like I played futures where you can literally just say your take profit from the beginning, so it's very simple, right? Options, obviously you have to like go buy the puts and then set your take profit, etc., based on like the value itself. So it's like a little bit more involved. So generally, if it's these very small scalps, I won't trade those on futures. Just because like you have to be very quick on executions and stuff. So I just prefer not to. For futures, do I just limit order in once price reaches the level and put your stop at the internal swing high? There's different ways to do this, corrupt. So like some people will, yes, they'll say like, okay, here's my level. I'm gonna go ahead and just limit buy in or limit sell, right? Um, that's fine. The only like the biggest issue you'll run into with that is on negative nodes. So let's say, when was the good example? Yeah, I can give the morning example, right? So like let's say this was what, like around 12. So this morning, right? Price is dropping. Let me get a couple things, right? We're like one, we're hitting the 715 on SPY. Well, not hitting, but we're approaching. Then QQQ, you have this big stack of negative volume, right? 671, 670, 669. So you're looking at all these and you're saying, okay, like, here's our negative stack of volume. So a lot of times with these negative nodes, what happens is you just get very strong wicks under, right? So if you see here, like we wicked way past, then got a bounce. Actually, SPY was not that extreme. We just basically like tapped the level to the dot and then bounced. But definitely QQQ, like we are getting strong undershoot and then a reversal back up. So then if you go put a limit buy at 671, for example, like you're getting destroyed here, right? Like you're having to deal with 100 points of drawdown, just due to the size of the wick that formed after, which we can anticipate because we know it's negative volume, right? So what a lot of people in futures will do is they'll let price sort of gap or sort of push through, and then they'll just play stop buys, right? So then once the wick forms and we start pushing back up, they get filled on that stop buy upwards. So it's up to you whether you limit buy or stop buy. It's just if you're limit buying, be very careful around these negative nodes and make sure you're giving them enough space. Otherwise, unless your sizing is very small and you have a very wide stop, you're just immediately going to get stopped. Um, but do I put my stop loss on the internal swing high? Uh, well, corrupt. I guess it depends on the situation, but usually like there's a swing high or swing low. That's usually where I'm trying to enter as well, right? Like trying to play the double tops, double bottoms. So I'd have to see the specific example you're talking about, but no, I wouldn't say that that's where I'm placing the stop, at least based on how I'm currently understanding it. Robin, what's the red dot indicator? Oh, that was Glitch doesn't sell access anymore. That was some glitch dot something. So some kind of like mean reversion indicator he coded long ago. I don't actually use it. Um, I know it's on my chart, but like I actually don't pay attention to it. I don't know the last time I used it to like take a trade. Because either way, like there's so many things I look at before that, right? Just like node volume, and then is it positive or negative? Is there confluence across the indexes? How's the velocity looking? Obviously, my chart is in front of all of that. So yeah, I ignore those dots. Sometimes they're very accurate though, but like yeah, today's low of day was caught by them actually. For futures, once you get in, how do you place your stop? Oh, it depends how you trade. And actually like I trade both ways. Just basically like futures, I don't know, I treat it a little bit more like a sandbox. Like I just test stuff out just to see like what happens. So like I have one account where I'll just always use a 10-point stop on NQ. I have another account where I'm basing it off of like candle structure and like some fair value gap stuff and previous, structure high, structure low. So it depends on the account, but it's not really a set system for me. But the logic there is like you either carry a very small stop loss and then you basically have a very asymmetric risk reward where it's like, okay, I'm doing every trade is 1 to 3. Um, so of course that'll work, as long as your win rate is, let's say 40, 50%, you're still making money with that. Whereas the other approach is like I'm going to carry a very wide stop loss, price size a bit smaller, wide stop loss, and it's just something I hold for a longer chunk of time. So it's yeah, I guess I do a bit of both, but I'm not like futures that I don't know, I guess I use it a lot as a way to not mess up my real trading. So so yeah, I guess like I may not be the best person to ask on that just because I don't always trade it with the same discipline as the other stuff I do. But Corrupt, if you do a lot of future stuff, I would reach out to John. Just send him a message, and he does a ton of future stuff, so he might be able to give you a bit more detailed answers. But I know John for a fact, like he does 1 to 3 risk reward. It's always 10-point stop, always 30-point take profit. Um, and he's pretty disciplined with like how he's finding his setups and how many trades a day he's taking, etc. So John will probably be your top resource on that. Anything features related. All right. Yeah, we got this funny. So yeah, 7-200 held again, like I was saying earlier. You got this funny like rug pull slash inverse rug pull on SPX. It looks like for now 718 will hold. Oh shoot, KG, I missed that message. Yeah, thanks. Intel. All right, so Intel finally calming down a little bit. Do we still have fuel on Intel? Uh, maybe, but no, I don't know, something like Intel that's just pumped $30. Like I would just let it chill out for a little. Looks like it's got floors down at 92, so that would be like around. Like this is a pretty strong floor. Gotten good reactions in the past. Oh man, this is a really good. This trend line was easy. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I would probably just let it calm down a bit. But guess yeah, you can wait for this 92 node here. That can probably be your next floor. Yeah, no problem, KG. All right, I think it's all right. Yeah, mock candle looks to be red. Yeah, so you see how mock 7205 completely just died off? Well, it's kind of coming back. But then, so usually what'll happen with mock, I think I've said this before, is like you'll get one side to unwind, right? So it's gonna be a lot of like really rapid reshuffling. But in a case like this, right, where you had the rug pull and the reverse rug pull sort of going against each other, the reverse rug pull completely unwound. So now you say, oh, okay, so it's probably just gonna go ahead and rug pull, right? And then we got a sharp drop after. QQQ is also, or sorry, SPY is having huge volume down there, grow on 716, 718. 718 still holding volume, so like we're still in the middle of the range for SPY, right? QQQ. QQQ, I guess, has a floor of 671, but it looks pretty trapped at 673, 672. All right, let's see what happens here. Looks like we're gonna pin around here though. Eric, is the 3 minute time frame? Oh, no, I use the three or the five. I guess there's not really a specific reason. I know Glitch will use the 3 minute always. I used to actually always use the five. I switched to doing the three because it helped me track some Quan use trades, which he's a user in the server that I was trying to learn basically his style for a little bit. Um, but no, I would say just don't go under three. That just gets a bit too hectic. And I probably wouldn't go over 10 or 15. But yeah, it's personal preference. Like I know some people who love to trade the 10 minute, right? There's some people that they'll execute on the 3 or 5 minute, but they chart on like the 1 hour, right? Like so it's yeah, it's pretty variable, but yeah. Yeah, Eric, so if you're used to 515, I wouldn't switch anything there. Um yeah, chart wise. Velocity wise, so like on the tool itself, I would not go under 5 minute. Stick to the 5 minute or 10 or 15 actually. I usually am using the 15 minute when I'm looking at velocity. Hmm. All right, velocity shows as the percent changes on the map, right? Yeah, so the velocity showing you like, so for example, right now, 15 minutes, 7,200, right? This just means that 15 minutes ago, this was 46% small, right? Like it's grown 46% since 15 minutes ago compared to now. So yeah, it's same as a chart, right? Like as if you get too minute on the velocity, you're starting to look at fluctuations that maybe cause you to panic in situations you shouldn't, right? The example I always give is like on the 1 minute, right? If the velocity goes up 100%, you'd be like, oh, like that's a huge shift. But then if the next minute it drops back down and it gets cut by 50%, then you're looking at a node that hasn't changed in volume, basically, right? It's just gone up and down. So if you're looking at the 1 minute, that's causing you to overreact. Whereas if you're looking at the 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, you're looking at that and saying like, okay, it's just noise. So I'm not going to focus too much on it. So yeah, that's my reasoning there for not going too in depth into those. All right, but it updates every 15 minutes. Then can we still see node growth in real time? Wait, what? It updates every 15 minutes. Then can we still see node growth? No, so it's like it's continuously updating the percentage, right? So like right now it's updating versus 15 minutes ago, but in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, it's just going to be updating against 15 minutes ago from that point, right? So it's not like it updates once every 15 minutes. It's continuously updating. It's just showing you the percentage compared to 15 minutes ago from wherever we are. So it's not like you get less updates because you're on the 10 or 15 minutes. You're still getting the same amount of the same frequency of updates. All right, KG circle. Holy, yeah, if we break above 120 and hold it, sure, 130 can look on. KG, generally, tickers this extended, I would not. It's trickier to play. Like when you're looking for reversals, you look at a ticker like this and you'd be like, okay, this bounced off 90. I missed that trade. So you can go back and check, like, how could I have caught that? But like the reversal is down here. It's already ran $30 off of that. So I don't spend too much time trying to figure out is it going to continue another $10 or not, right? I treat those situations always as like, okay, I missed the actual reversal. How can I catch it next time? And then let me go look for another ticker that's primed for a reversal, right? So I don't try too hard to chase down moves that I've already started ripping like that. So at that point, call is like, it's already had a substantial move, and then like also those premiums are now going to be a bit inflated and all of that. So it's yeah, I don't put too much energy into those. Yeah, yeah, it's hard to learn, especially like recently. Like a lot of tickers have already ran really hard, but yeah, that's always going to be the recommendation we give, right? Is try to wait your best on the reversal to show up, and then that should really be where you're focusing, or the plays you're trying to catch. So yeah, yeah, we pinned at 7,200. Again, I think I said that like 20 minutes ago, right? SPY wasn't giving much room. 718 was sort of the mid ground. So 720, 716 had like even pull, let's say 15, 20 minutes ago. And then, so that's just sort of where we end up. QQQ, I don't remember, had a strong ceiling or I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I said, but yeah, yeah, we just chopped out rest of the day. KG, yeah, KG is like it's a very backwards way of thinking, right? But just the way I view it is like any ticker, if it's already gotten moving in the direction I thought, I'll just ignore it, right? So, sorry, like I'll go replay and figure out what the move was, but don't always try to view it that way. 673. Oh, yeah, 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 true, Keem. Yeah, 673 ended up holding as well. Like the zone, we never reached back into it. All right. What is OTE? Oh, so OTE means optimal trade entry. I have to double check how Glitch is using it because that's actually the first time I've seen him mention it. OTE in like the futures world is usually going to be your golden pocket entry. Like that's the same, like the 0.618 fib. So OTE will be the zone here. I don't know if that's exactly what Glitch is talking about. Let me go read his message. OTE, optimal trade target entry. I don't know if it's optimal target entry or optimal trade entry. But yeah, the main logic there is that, and like the whole logic behind like golden pockets and all these fib retracements is, okay, the move has already gotten going, right? So the move already happened like this. You don't want to be entering on the top half of the retracement, right? Like we already had a full move. You don't want to enter when it pulls back 20%. You want to be entering when it pulls back halfway or more than halfway, right? So then, basically it's like if the move is this full span, you want to be entering in the lower half once we've retraced the majority of the move. So yeah, again, I don't know if his optimal trade entry is exactly the golden pocket or if he just means like this whole bottom zone, but that's the logic there. But yeah, it should be optimal trade entry or optimal target entry. So optimal trade entry makes more sense. I don't know why you do optimal. I mean, yeah, optimal target entry is just backwards, right? Because you don't think about the target at the entry. So yeah, it's optimal trade entry. Yeah, so I'll need to tell him that. But yeah, see, so this is a fib retracement concept. So the 618 to 786, right? So again, the fibs I had drawn. So I guess they can just be anywhere in this zone. But yeah, most people like the classic golden pocket is the 0.618. Um, the two other levels I would mark out is the 0.707 and the 0.786. The 0.65 and 0.826 I marked. I actually don't know why I have them marked, but it's really the three gray numbers that matter. And some people even play like the halfway retracement. I usually don't. But yeah, yeah. So 618, 705, same thing as 707, 786, right? So yeah, OTE is same as golden pocket. There's another term I've heard it called before that I'm forgetting right now. But yeah, that's what he means there. I haven't read his Substack article. I just saw the message he sent in the group chat, but that's what he's meaning there. But again, like and you don't even have to know all the fib stuff. Like, and the thing to remember there is just that you're looking for price to retrace at least half the move or more than half the move, and then you try to get in and see if you get a trade after. So yeah, in an essence, it boils down to like just be patient on the entry, basically, just to keep it simple. All right. Any other questions for today? Been about an hour. All right. Yeah, in that case, I think I'll end this here. Thanks, Agent Soy Sauce. Yeah, I'm getting a phone call anyways. Yeah, I'll end this here. Hopefully everyone has a good day. I'll have office hours later on, and then as always, feel free to DM me with any questions. I'll get to everyone's messages after this phone call. All right. See y'all. Hope you all have a good one.